Welcome onto the stage Dr. Michele Lee, Dr. Calvin Sun, and Maddie. Dr. Michele Lee is a Cornell resident physician and NYC writer who has covered the Asian American community and especially food businesses during the pandemic for New York Magazine, Zagat, and Eater. She contracted COVID while working in the ICU during the height of the NYC pandemic and is the organizer of White Coats Against Asian Hate. Dr. Calvin Sun, born and raised in New York, is the founder and CEO of the travel community, The Monsoon Diaries, and an ER doctor and attending physician at emergency medicine, having worked at over a dozen ERs in the majority of hospital systems in New York City during the height of the pandemic, and as an undercover street medic for the Black Lives Matter protests. And lastly, oh yeah, that's awesome, actually, feel free to clap your hands also. Lastly, Maddie is a third-year medical student at Sinai Medical School, originally from Thailand. Last month, she was assaulted on the way to the hospital by men who called her China virus. Ugh. Boo! Before physically hurting her. She is bravely sharing her story today. Please welcome White Coats Against Asian Hate. Thank you guys so much for being here.
Fellow doctors, please come up on stage. You deserve this as much as I do. Come on up. You've been through it all. I know what you've been through. You need to see everyone who kept the city safe for the past year, and we're still going through it. So thank you to the organizers here. I last spoke here 9 years ago, and I had ended the speech at the time with "Justice will be served." Justice is far from being served. I had spoken on behalf of an organization at the time called ICASU, the East Coast Asian American Student Union, which I worked with Alice at the time, and plenty of you here. It was founded in 1977 at a time where the United States Supreme Court ruled in favor of a pre-med who argued that he could not get into medical school because he was white. And Asian Americans across the country raged, rallied, and fought and created ICASU on the East Coast and MASU on the Midwest in support of black students and affirmative action. To this day, these organizations are the reasons why we have the oldest and largest gathering of Asian American students, 2,000 under one roof until the pandemic. Every year for these organizations rooted in black activism. What happened? Did we just somehow forget all this? Were we brainwashed into teaching this in our classrooms and making this institutional memory? Why do we live in a society that teaches us to fear the witches instead of the people who burn them? I understand my privilege being on the stage. Cisgendered, heterosexual man. I don't wake up every day thinking about my sexual orientation or my gender the same way I think about my race, and that is privilege. But in that privilege, I have the enormous responsibility to work hard to subvert, decolonize, and infiltrate my spaces, transforming them to gain them access to all the other groups there who've never had access to them before. That goes for you, allies. Allies? I see you. I love you. I appreciate you. But maybe it's time to stop being allies and becoming accomplices. Co-conspirators and instigators to take all your spaces. All the spaces you have privilege to. We need all the avenues. Take care of yourself first, but then after that, take your spaces and transforming them, decolonizing, infiltrating them, the same way they have infiltrated us, the status quo. They have infiltrated our spaces so that we fight each other, squabble amongst each other, so that they maintain their power. I am not taking the bait. Let's stop fighting over breadcrumbs of the man who stole our loaf of bread is out there watching us, enjoying us, watching us squabble. Don't let the institutions win, and that includes our criminal justice system and the police. Yeah. And maybe these are all just words, and you're gonna kind of remember them. Maybe tomorrow morning you wake up and it's like, oh, what did they say? You know, well, I mean, we're gonna try to remember this. at the very least, allow us everywhere, every one of us on stage here, if you heard here today, may us at least evoke an emotion in you today that you will carry it in your actions tomorrow, because today we'll rage together, today we'll fight together, and tomorrow we'll win together. And in that togetherness, allow me to say, we are Soon Chung Park, Sung Cha Kim, Hyung Chung Kim, Young A.U., Xiao Jie Tang, Dao Yufeng, Delana Ashley Yan, Paul Andre Michels, Pak Ho, Vishal Ratana Pakdi, Vincent Chin, as we are George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. Say their names. And get vaccinated.
Growing up as a queer woman in Thailand, a homogenous country often marked by military dictatorships, censorships, and bloody coups, I was used to violence. When I immigrated to America for college and medical school, I saw this country as a safe haven, an American dream. Unfortunately, on my way to the hospital in broad daylight, I was assaulted after being called Chinese virus. When my advisors recommend I take time off from clinical duties to recuperate, I hesitated. Like many within the AAPI community, I was used to minimizing my pain. I actually read a study that suggests that AAPI patients would rate their subjective pain the lowest, even though they experience the most clinical pain. This disconnect between our expressed and perceived pain also parallels with the historical silencing of our racial pain. While I came away from the attack with minor cuts and bruises, a deep, unspoken pain awoke inside of me, a pain that many within the AAPI community have to hide either directly or indirectly in this country. After minimizing our racial pain for so many generations, we are finally waking up. And so I implore everyone to stop viewing the AAPI community as a model minority, but as a heterogeneous group that also experiences health disparities and discrimination, so we can finally begin to treat this collective neglected diagnosis and begin racial healing. Thank you.
Hi everyone. Us healthcare professionals, we're organizing White Coats Against Asian Hate. We have overcome a lot of bamboo ceilings thanks to our AAPI community and our immigrant parents to be here. And we, in our privileged spaces, have pulled our allies here. So we have so many of our fellow doctor healthcare workers, people who are coming off a 24-hour shift. We have served and fought COVID in our ICUs for this city and our home. And we want to continue condemning any sort of violence and any sort of hate. And we really wanted to form the first white coat frontline to uplift Maddie and her story and also the rest of our community. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. So many good people. Yeah. Very good.